Welcome back to GB News. You're watching the Camilla Tominey Show. I'm delighted to be joined now by Rupert Lowe, Reform UK's MP for Great Yarmouth. Lovely to see you, Mr Lowe. Thank you for sparing the time on a Sunday morning. Priti Patel has suggested that Parliament be recalled over this unrest that we're witnessing across the streets of Britain. What do you think about that? I mean, we've got nobody from the government on the round today on my show. Keir Starmer's apparently going on holiday this week. I know you've had quite a tough few weeks because you've been fighting an election campaign, and congratulations on your election. But don't we need our elected representatives now here, back in Parliament, dealing with what seems to be a summer of discontent?
Well, I think it's a very fair question, Camilla, and I do think that Starmer's misreading the room. I think a lot of this sort of accusation of it being a far-right sort of issue is wrong. This is an issue that originates with Tony Blair. He and his, as I call them, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, Mandelson, Campbell and Brown, they basically have undermined the British Constitution. They effectively have laid heffalump traps like the ECHR is embedded within the Human Rights Act, the Equalities Act, and effectively what they did was open the floodgates to effectively divorcing the relationship between the directly elected MPs and the people. And what you've now got is loads of quangos which have been disintermediated between us, the elected MPs, and we are the elected part of government. Effectively, in 1688, one of the greatest moments of British history, we embedded all this in the Glorious Revolution and the Declaration of Rights. So this has all been undermined by Blair. You've got to look at the root causes of what's causing this. And I put out a tweet this morning. Obviously, we want peaceful demonstrations. We don't want people to be violent. But the police have got to police everybody equally and fairly, and they've got to apply the same rules to every part of our society. So I think this is a crisis of the elites making. It started with Blair, and it continued under the Tories, under May, under Boris, under with an 80-seat majority, singularly failed to deal with these issues that Blair and his mob had put in place. So I think this is a systemic problem, and for Starmer to deny that, Camilla, he is going to make matters far worse. He's got to be honest. I did ask him a question, a Prime Minister's questions, and this is important. The other day I got a PMQ. And he disagreed with my numbers because I said since 97, millions of illegal and legal migrants have come into the country. And he said he disagreed with my numbers. Well, I don't know what part of my numbers he disagrees with, but conservatively 10 million and arguably 13 million people have come into the country since then. And often they're not integrated.
But that has happened. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying about Tony Blair sort of initially opening our borders and that we've had those numbers coming in, but they are here now. So what is the solution? Because presumably, Mr Lowe, you're not suggesting that you send people home who've got settled status here.
I didn't say that, Camilla, but what I am saying is that people who come here need to respect the fact that we are a Christian country. We have our own laws, we have our own history. And at the end of the day, I'm afraid a lot of them are not integrating into our society. They don't like our society. They don't like what we stand for. And what we've got to do is if people are going to come here, they have to integrate with us. So,
how do you make them do that?
And police have to police our country fairly and equally, Camilla. Otherwise, we are heading for a systemic crisis, and Starmer will not be Prime Minister for very long if that happens.
But Mr Lowe, how do you make people do that? How do you make people integrate?
Well, that is a problem that the post-war elite, or the since 97 elite, as you call them, I don't call them elite, most of them don't know which way is up. But the fact of the matter is, Camilla, that they have brought these people in an untargeted way, and it's built up a massive problem. And just look at the sort of plumes of volcanic magma that keep bursting out, whether it's Southport, whether it's Catherine Birbal's Singh, whether it's people stealing Rolex watches and being let off, whether it's people who are let off because they can't speak English. No, we have to deal with this and it has to be dealt with fairly and correctly. And they have to remember the fact that people in this country are not racist. They're very fair-minded. They are decent people. But when they get angry, Camilla, they don't stop being angry very quickly because it takes an awfully long time to get them hired.
But Mr. Lowe, are you saying that the majority of migrants into this country don't integrate? Because I think we've all got examples in our own lives of people assimilate very well into this country. This is why we are multicultural. We've got plenty of examples of that. So how are you saying that people should integrate further?
Some people integrate well, Camilla, and our chairman is an example of that. You know, Zia Yusuf came here, he's contributed, he's built up a business. But have you been to parts of Bradford? I used to be chairman of a football club. I went to all these places. And you're telling me that's integrated in and accepts the Christian faith?
But I'm asking you.
And regulations?
I'm asking you.
I don't know. That's not what you're saying.
But Mr. Lowe, I'm asking you for solutions. We can talk about why it's happened, how it's happened. We can blame previous governmental, leaders. We can look at all of that. But I'm asking you, because Kemi Badenoch's identified this idea that people aren't integrating, what would you do to make communities integrate with each other more? Is there religious barriers?
The first thing to do, Camilla, which is no sign of Labour doing, is to stop legal and illegal immigration, severely restrict it, because immigration is a good thing if it's targeted. And as I say, pre-97, Britain knew who we were. We had a very strong economy. We had not much national debt because we'd had Margaret Thatcher. And at the end of the day, you know, we had migration that was manageable, 50,000 give or take each year. And it added to our economy. I guess Zia Yusuf would have been an example of that. But what we're seeing now is we're seeing illegal migrants coming in by boat. And we're seeing the equivalent of a city of Bristol net migration was 750,000 people last year. That is a city the size of Bristol each year. That is not sustainable. All our public services are failing as a result of it. Most of our problems emanate from immigration, Camilla.
Yeah.
And until people
there's
sit
a lot
down
of immigrants working for our public services as well, though, Mr. Lowe, aren't there? There's lots of immigrants working in the NHS. There's lots of immigrants working on frontline public services. So I appreciate what you're saying about the numbers.
We are losing our entrepreneurs. We're losing our wealth creators. 9,000 of them have left this year. They're gone. They're the people who take risk. They build businesses. They employ people. They take risk. They are contributors. And they are going. They can vote with their feet. That's what can happen. They're going to Italy. They're going to Dubai. They're going to all over the world. And why would you blame them? They're being taxed into oblivion. They're being regulated out of sight. You know, give you an example of Tony Blair's legislation, the FSMA, the Financial Services Market Act of 2000. That destroyed our capital markets through the creation of regulators like the FCA, the PRA, originating with the FSA. I've written articles on it. It's destroyed London as a capital markets centre. That's happening throughout our country. And people need to start discussing the real causes of what's going on.
But we are discussing it. But Mr. Lowe, hang on a second. We are discussing it. We're literally discussing it on this show. But I still haven't had an answer to you. People who are here legally, first generation, second, third, who you think aren't integrating adequately, what can be done to encourage them to integrate more?
I said some people are not integrating correctly in our country.
And how do we make them integrate more? How do we make them integrate more?
What we need to do, Camilla, is those people who engineered this, Blair, and as you know, Keir Starmer himself has made money out of human rights law. That's what his job was. You know, he actually, I think, was the barrister who fought for effectively benefits for people who came into this country, both legally and illegally, which was a disastrous decision. But look, at the end of the day, he's conflicted. He makes money. He made money out of human rights law, as did Cherie Blair. So at the end of the day, what we need is an honest debate. I don't have a golden bullet for years and years of the elite's mismanagement of our immigration policy, but we've got to have a frank and honest discussion about it. There isn't always a sort of one-line answer to these things. It's extremely complex. But what we can't go on doing is undermining the foundations of this great country and not listening to the people who are now concerned about it, because they're right to be concerned. They've got every right to be concerned about what's happening to their country.
Okay.
And I share that concern.
I understand. Thank you very much indeed for speaking so in such a forthright manner. Rupert Lowe, thank you very much.